what has been the single best idea that you've ever come up with in your life?
Oh, this is big. Well, I would say, Joseph, like as I mentioned before, I feel that developing and fostering the community of SM profs is probably one of the proudest ideas that came to life, because I feel that my overall goal and purpose is to make an impact on the field. That's always been something that I've wanted to do, to help others, to kind of be able to provide resources and help to people who are coming up. And I wanted to create a place where we could all win, together, how we could help out. So SM Profs really originated from actually a research idea back in 2016. And this group fostered on Facebook. We've been able to make some incredible connections. And for me, what's been very rewarding is just seeing how other professors are saying, wow, like I got the best student, evaluations for how I incorporate some of the ideas and assignments that everyone shared. And they've been able to make connections. They've been able to get research ideas. And for me, that's what it's all about, for me, like that, showing that impact and making a difference in people's lives and being able to kind of foster and mentor people. That for me was awesome. And I feel that idea also came about after I had, a big cup of coffee, which I feel all ideas, come from having a big, nice cup of coffee for me.
Well, I won't call it an idea. I'll call it a concept. And the concept is that most people in their lives and most organizations, as they are led, solve their symptoms and avoid understanding their real problem. Okay? For example, an agency can say, hey, we're not digital enough. We have to dedicate ourselves to becoming more digital. We've got to integrate. We've got to be capable of doing social and digital interactions on behalf of our clients. Wrong. Maybe that's the right answer, but the real problem they need to solve is we are not effective with our clients in solving their problems. So there's a difference between symptoms and problems, and everybody undershoots. I think the single idea that I got going to business school and working in consulting for many, many years is that if you can help people to elevate the discussion to get them to understand what their real problem is, and then have a credible action plan for it, you can be very successful. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm still struggling to get agency people to accept the fact that their problem isn't they're not digital enough, or they're not social enough.
As you said, it's not about technology. It's about dollars and cents. It's about remuneration. It's about compensation. It's about solving problems.
Wow. You know what? I think actually I just said it, which is it's two parts, and it's not. Do you mean an advertising idea or an idea?
No, answer it any way you want.
Okay. I learned two things in life, and this is all like of a piece and all the product of, I mean, literally, I was half joking when I said I'm on a stamp, but I've been in therapy my whole life for whatever reason. But I learned two things, basically. Number one is, if you've done your homework, your good is other people's great. If you're hard on yourself, if you're demanding of yourself, your good is other people's great. So you can kill yourself or you can press the send button. So when I was at Ogilvy twice, the first time during its heyday from 99 to 2004, then I took 10 years off from Ogilvy and came back from 2014 to 2020 to almost 2020 to 2021, I guess, technically. The first time I was in the agency for about 3 weeks. I had no partner. I knew no one. I hardly knew my way to the men's room. And for whatever reason, Steve Hayden picked me out of the bunch and said, we've got a problem. I need you to fix it. And he hands me an assignment, a commercial that was a failure. And he says, I need you to write some commercials. And, I'm writing for Steve Hayden. I'm completely intimidated. The copywriter, president of Ogilvy on IBM and the author of the world's most famous commercial, Apple's 1984. And I'm intimidated as shit. I don't have a friend in the place. And I went in on a weekend and I had this assignment and I wrote 50 scripts. And it's Sunday night and I'm tired and I want to go home and I don't want to send them because they might suck. And I said, you know what? I got to press the send button. And I pressed the send button and it all worked out. I mean, within kind of minutes, you know, I got a gushing email and, you know, some praise and some orders to do more, but mostly praise. And, you know, that was a lesson in there that you just, you know, especially for the 99.99% of people who don't have a fundamental belief in themselves. The lesson is, you know, believe. And if you don't really believe, do some things that act like you believe. And that doesn't mean puff out your chest and boss people around. That means come in and write 50 commercials. And then you press the send button. And I was lucky enough to work for someone like Steve who understood the trauma that I went through and to respond with praise and constructive criticism. And after that, I mean, not to be too mafiosa about it, but I was a made man at Ogilvy. And, you know, fast forward ahead a month, I'm shooting commercials and I'm in a van with Steve and, you know, the woman Susan Westra, who was described to me as, you know, the world's best television art director. And I'm going out to a shoot with them. And Steve got a call, you know, from the client, 7 a.m, and they killed the spot we're about to shoot. And he turns around in the van and he hands me his IBM ThinkPad. I had never typed on a PC before, and says, we need to write a new spot here. And I'm in a van, like sitting on a wheel well, you know, jostling through the city. And I got to write a new spot. I don't even know how to work the computer. And I don't want to say to him, I don't know how to work on the computer because I'm a group creative director in IBM and I should know. So, you know, I figured it out and I wrote a spot and, you know, I hand it to him like, you know, shaking. I hand him the computer. There's no printer in the van. And he goes, yeah, this is good. Okay. And that was that. But, you know, that's sometimes you have to kind of, you know, it doesn't matter how old you are. You know, you write things down on an index card, whether it's real or metaphorical, and you have to remind yourself. And I have to remind myself of that almost every time I send something to a client. And, you know, because it's most creative people aren't brimming with confidence. They think what they did sucks. And it doesn't matter who you are. I was with Errol Morris shooting, and I'm not dropping names, shooting when Wormwood was reviewed in the New York Times. And in the opening paragraph, if I remember correctly, the review was gushing. The opening paragraph, the reviewer compared it to Citizen Kane. And Errol, who's at this point, you know, he's 10 years older than I am and has had 40 years of success, is like, he's pinching himself like, see, I'm really good. It's as if he's talking to his harridan of a mother. See, Mom, I don't suck. Because we all, you know, imposter syndrome, which is very au courant now, is nothing new. We all suffer. The original cavemen, when they were out killing mammoths, there's no way I can kill that. All I have is a piece of wood, and that thing weighs 30 tons. I can't kill that. And they worked it out. You know, but all of us are afraid of failing. And, you know, so I know I answer questions, I don't answer questions quickly because they're usually complex for me. But I think the biggest idea is to kind of like it's a combination of trying to find some semblance of confidence and to be Yiddish about it. What's the worst that can happen? I mean, after Ogilvy, what's the worst that can happen? They've stripped me of my career, my identity, and my paycheck. What more can anyone? The holding companies can't hurt me, and I might be. I mean, I'm saying this sarcastically, of course, but I have a better account roster than Ogilvy, New York.
I know, and by the way, when you look at the state of the agency world, it's just incredible. George, I should have mentioned, by the way, that the first of all, Adam John said, "Great story, thank you, George Tannenbaum." I forgot to mention that the answer for the Corona question is meant to be in 30 seconds or less.
Oh.
But no, I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding. But
I'm a long form guy.
The Corona question. I think I know the answer. It's this book. But what's the single best idea you've ever come up with in your life?
Well, I'm not entirely sure that the working from anywhere idea was actually mine, right? I do feel like I might have realized it sooner than most people. I feel like a lot of senior leaders still hold on to this abandoned faith that that we're going to get back to normal as soon as everyone's vaccinated or whatever. But the realization, I would call it for this book, the grand realization that I know is mine is just the reality. You don't send 100 million people to work from home for a year and then snap your fingers and ask them to come back. It doesn't happen. And whatever I can do to get that idea into more people's heads is what I've been focused on for the last several months and will continue to focus on for years.
I mean, logic would suggest that it was Harrow. You know, help a reporter out changed my entire life and changed everything that I am living today. So I would say that. But you know, I also always wanted to I always wanted to create a triathlon team called Team Fat Ass, and it's like Menudo. You could only join it until you lost all the weight, then you had to go join another team.
They just keep on coming.
Easiest question to answer ever. It was the freak factor, that my weaknesses were strengths, that other people have weaknesses that are strengths, that the things we're trying to fix are exactly the things that we should be flaunting, that we need to be unapologetic about who we are, and that oftentimes the things that our parents, teachers, employers, and family members tell us are our worst qualities are actually our best qualities, and we should stop trying to fix them and turn up the volume on those things. Easily changed my life, has changed a lot of other lives as well, and transformed every single aspect of my life. So yeah, that's it. Best idea I've ever had.
You know, when I got into marketing, I had a big crisis in confidence and not a lot of self-confidence. So I spent too much time trying to be important, trying to be the smartest guy in the room. And the best idea I've ever had in terms of generating positivity and results in the world is when I stopped trying to be important, stopped trying to be influential myself, and focused most of my efforts on helping others to become influential, to shine a light on other people's talent, and to support other people. This is borne great fruit, and it really helped me adopt an everybody wins sort of worldview.
Well, I was going to say being your sister, but that's just way too corny.
Stop.
Really. Stop the friend.
You don't need to continue.
There you go. Massive points. I would say just figuring out that I could do what I loved, which is teaching and helping people, and keeping me sane, which is basically not being fat. And therefore, copying this idea that I saw in New York of Soul Cycle when I came to visit you, Joe, and setting up this little boutique studio as a pop-up and realizing, you know, worst comes to worst, I fail. And then at least I've tried it. And now I've met people that I will know for the rest of my life. And I know that I've helped people and changed their lives. And, you know, I'll forever carry that with me.
And I think you could see from all the comments coming in from your community today, community, not commodity.
I would say it wasn't really an idea that I meant to have or meant to keep. But that first night that I was in the hospital, the ER, the first night of my seizures, I had posted on Facebook a status update that simply said this wasn't how I envisioned my weekend ending or something to that nature. It was a Sunday night. And that turned into 545 days and about 170,000 some odd words of updates every single day. And to see how that inspired people, inspired me. And, you know, and that's why I kept writing the updates every day. They weren't necessarily for me. Some of it was my sanity, but a lot of it was because of the feedback I would get publicly or privately from people.